Alright guys, this is the specific heat lab. In your data table you have some information that you need to record about the spheres that we're dealing with. We've got 3 unknown composition spheres that we're going to be figuring out what the specific heat of them is. So as far as your masses, go ahead and write those down for me please. We've got similar spheres inside boiling water. The reason that we've got them in the boiling water is to raise their temperature in order to see the process of heat transfer into the blue or the room temperature water. So I've got 3 beakers of 200 milliliters of 200 grams of room temperature water, and they've been sitting here and I've been monitoring their temperature, and we've got a temperature of 17.6 degrees Celsius. So you can put that as the initial temperature of the blue or the room temperature water. So what we're going to do one by one is take a sphere out of the boiling water, transfer it to the room temperature water, and because of Newton's second law, heat flows from hot to cold, we are going to see some amount of heat transfer into the room temperature water. The temperature of that water will increase, and that will allow us to calculate the specific heat of our metals. So the first one we're going to transfer is the yellow sphere. Try to do this as quickly as possible. It'll take a minute. Obviously we need to get those molecules in the water moving around in order to gauge its average kinetic energy or temperature. So we'll get a change of about 20 degrees Celsius. So this is not only the final temperature of the blue water, but it will also be the final temperature of the sphere because they're reaching thermal equilibrium as the heat is transferred from one object to the other object. Okay? So now this beaker is useless to me because the water has risen in internal temperature, so we're just going to switch it out to the next one. Alright, so we got the same initial temperature of the water. Now we're going to move the light sphere into this new beaker. So we got a final temperature on this one of about 19.8. Notice how the temperature of the water isn't increasing that much because remember we know that the specific heat of water is quite high, so it's going to require a lot of energy in order to change this water's temperature even slightly. Alright, and then we move on to the last sphere, which is the heavy sphere. This one's topping out at about 18.9 degrees Celsius. So at this point, all of the heat that was in the spheres is now transferred into the room temperature of the blue water. What you guys are going to do now is figure out the change in temperature between each of your objects, and that will allow you to calculate the specific heat of your spheres.